Hi there, I'm Simon Cantan,
And I'm Dave Higgins.
and in this Google Hangout we're going to be outlining episode 7 of Season 2 of Greenstar. So obviously there's full spoilers for Greenstar ahead. We've done 6 of these previously for the first 6 episodes of Season 2, and this is episode 7, so we're going to get straight into it. So the first thing we do is share Scrivener file. So, Dave, did you get a chance to read episode 6? I only finished it like 2 days ago, so you may not have.
No, I haven't read it through yet.
So, basically what happens is Josie and Raina reach an accord, but not Josie and Raina, sorry, Josie and Vesta. They reach an accord and they decide that they're going to work together to try and get technologies from other aliens. And they go to the calamari first, and Josie negotiates and fails. So then Vesta steps in and manages to blackmail or whatever the shield technology out of the calamari. Meanwhile, something that wasn't in the outline that we went over last week was Raina and Elijah hooked up. So that may be a surprise to you, Dave. So I was writing Josie's point of view, and Josie was waiting for the Latisk to make a decision about whether they would help or not. And she went to walk around the park that we'd mentioned before, and then I went, okay, and so what's happening in the park? And then there has to be something interesting. So I said, okay, Raina and Elijah are holding hands. And I thought, well, okay. By the way, it's still spoilers here, so if you don't want this joke spoiled, anyone who's watching. So I thought, okay, they're holding hands, but them... so Josie thinks, oh, that's nice. They've, found each other like Connor and I did. And so then I thought, okay, so if we switch to Elijah's perspective or Raina's perspective, they're not holding hands because they're boyfriend and girlfriend, because that'd be too obvious. So Elijah's discovered if you hold two handy links together, that they overload and send like waves of pleasure up your arm because they're stimulating all the different sensations on your hand at once. So it's like a weird kind of body hack. So then Raina says, so these handy talk gloves, could they be adapted to any other body parts? And Elijah says, what, you mean feet? And then we cut to them in bed together. So they kind of hook up in order to try these handy talk things. Yeah. And then Elijah chats up Audley when Audley's over to install the green burst you mentioned. Mm-hmm. Or Audley chats him up, rather. And then Raina gets jealous, and so Elijah then doesn't really understand because they were just a hookup or whatever. And Raina and him realize that even though they're not in love with each other, that they still want to be a couple because they could potentially die at any moment, and why not?
Yeah.
So Elijah says he doesn't love Audley. He was just chatting her up because she was a blonde, pretty woman. Mm-hmm. So that's what happened in the last episode. So that was kind of away from the outline. Like most of the main stuff with the negotiations was from the outline. Yeah. So, episode 7. So Elijah tells... So we outlined this a little bit before. Elijah tells Josie that he's spoken with Audley and they're both ready to turn the shields on. Josie orders Elijah to do that. Vesta opens fire. Josie asks her what she's doing. Vesta assumed Josie would want to test the shields. Josie asks how Vesta knew they were on. Vesta shrugs and says she guessed. Vesta asks what next. Josie says they need to find more aliens that the Burger Supreme haven't wiped out yet. Mm-hmm. Vesta says she has a map and sends it over. There are a dozen alien civilizations on the map. Vesta doesn't know which ones will still be alive, because Burger Supreme might have just decided to kill them all. So, Josie picks one at random and says they should go there. Vesta says it would be more efficient to split up and take a different alien civilization each. Josie doesn't trust that, but she has to admit they'd be faster separately. Because that would make perfect sense, I think.
Yeah.
Greenstar takes one civilization, the Weaned on the map. Vesta takes another, the Nepeta Seed, we only had 3 alien civilizations left, or alien races left, and the other ones were my least favorite. That's why they're last on the list. I was almost thinking of deleting them, because they're essentially just big grey lumps. So the Greenstar zaps over to the Weaned and pulls into orbit around the planet. They call the main city and reach the president. They talk to him for a while, and he needs to go talk to advisors. A different person comes back and says they're the president now. Josie, confused, and asks if she can go down to the planet. The president has to consult again. A different person comes back and says it's fine. Josie looks around the bridge, wondering who to take. She picks Elijah and Gina for tech and relations with aliens.
Yeah.
When they get to the shuttle, Paul is waiting in it. He says he demands to be part of the mission. Now, we need to come up with a reason why he's part of the mission. Because otherwise he's not on the planet, which means we can't have the jokey stuff that we want later. So why would Paul want to go to a planet with Weaned on it? He doesn't really know why, who they are, what they are, or anything like that.
Yeah, what's special about the Weaned that he would care about it?
So, let's see, I'll open the encyclopedia and share that. Oh, there we go. And share the whole screen. So the Weaned are one computer. The Weaned are these kind of roly creatures that have a long kind of column above, and then like a kind of grabby arm. And then they have mouths here where they put food in, and then these are all eyes.
Yeah, because the round ball's gleaming like jewels, but it's not necessarily. That's not necessarily something that Paul will have noticed.
Yeah, I mean, so like later on, Paul takes advantage of the Weaned. So the Weaned, because everyone can read each other's minds, no one lies on the planet anymore. Because why would you lie if you can read someone's mind and tell that they're lying right away? So for generations they haven't lied. So they don't. Paul then goes into shops and goes, "Yeah, I already paid for that," and they go, "Okay, fair enough," because no one's lied for 100 years. So they don't realize that he's lying to them. But he doesn't know that yet. The other thing, he then tries to sleep with one of the Weaned later on in the episode, because he's like Paul, basically. So, but I don't know whether he's thinking about that before he's going down to the planet necessarily. It could be, how about he's annoyed someone on the ship, so he wants to get away with them, get away from them while they're angry. So, like, I don't know, what could he have done that would annoy someone on the ship? So Paul is a man of disgusting tastes. He could have, for instance, stolen underwear from any of the women. He could have taken Mark's stash of beer or something.
Let's see, eaten Connor's protein powder. So if Connor and Elijah work out a lot, presumably they've got those big drums of whey powder
That
bodybuilders
would be
have.
funny.
So there's this.
Especially if Paul denies it, and then Connor has CCTV footage of Paul with a spoon just eating protein powder out of a thing without even mixing it with water. That would be quite funny.
Yeah. So what they'll see. So she's taking Elijah and leaving Gina behind, so she can take Paul. So it can't be Elijah that he's pissed off.
No.
So it would have to be Connor if he's eating the protein powder.
Yeah.
So that's why he wants to be on the mission, but we still need a reason why potentially Josie would take him, or is she just going to do it to stop him whining?
So he's pretty much useless on missions. In a fit of exasperation, could she be planning on leaving him down on the planet? Not really. I mean, he's been useful as well. Like in previous episodes, he helped test out the fish capturing stuff, and he has been of use. Like, I think he's a horrible creep, but he's their horrible creep in a way.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'd just abandon him.
So, well, could she do it just to give Connor a chance to calm down?
Could she do like could she say, okay, no, you can't come, Paul, and they try and pull him out of the shuttle, and he like locks his arms onto the seat and just they can't pull him out, and then after like 10 minutes of exhausting wrestling with him, Josie just gives up and says, fine, you can come, but I don't know why you want to.
That makes sense.
She brings him instead of Gina because she thinks that she needs Elijah for tech.
Yeah.
They go down to the planet and meet with the president, who's different again. He has a long line behind him of people waiting. I'm thinking like a big velvet rope and people queuing up.
Yeah.
The crowd gasp and the president slinks off, replaced by another president. Josie asks what's going on and why did the last president leave. The new president says that he thought about his neighbor in an inappropriate way. The crowd gasp again, president replaced.
Yeah.
The new president said so did he, concentrating hard to avoid thinking about the neighbor.
Yeah.
The special arrives at the Nepeta Seed civilization and orbits the planet. Vesta asks for an analysis of the planet and oddly says that it appears highly industrialized. Vesta, Oddly, Julian and some night marines go to the surface. Not sure if we want to call them night marines or just marines or space marines, or people got in trouble for saying space marines because someone sues every time someone says space marines.
Yeah, so not space marines, marines. Yeah, I don't think we necessarily need a label on them other than marines.
Yeah, I didn't know. I just night marines was just something random. I don't know that we've mentioned. So we've said soldiers, I think, or something before. I don't think we've said marines particularly.
Yeah. There were Burger Supreme soldiers in season 1, episode 4, but we haven't mentioned much about military structure.
Like we could say special forces rather than marines, because then everyone understands that these are like elite soldiers.
Yeah.
oops. Where are we? Here. They land outside the apparent capital and approach on foot. Level of technology is impressive. Nepeta Seeds are driving around wearing new things, etc. They're approached by law enforcement, who bring them to the seat of government. The government is controlled by a collection of corporations. I wasn't sure about that. Like, I'm trying to, like, there's only, like, I guess we could put some more thought into different ways that alien civilizations could have governments, because we have world building on what the aliens look like. Like the Nepeta Seed look like this.
Yeah.
At 10 meters high seems a bit extreme. We might want to change that. 10 meters high is like twice as high as a house. So we've done that, but not necessarily on their social structure. So I said that they're like a corporatocracy, but I don't know if we want them to be that or we want them to be something else. Anyway, so Vesta speaks to them, explaining who she is and the danger approaching their planet, because they're in the same part of the galaxy as the human race. So therefore, they're in just as much danger as the humans are. Corporations say they'll help her for a price. Vesta is used to dealing with that from the Burger Supreme, because they're a corporation too. She works out a trade with them, information for information. Vesta tells Audley to share useless things, not anything like spaceflight. So just like, you know, how the materializers work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe the holotainment center. Vesta tells Audley, yeah, I read that already. They find out from Planetary information that Nepeta Seeds are great at manufacturing things. Time to market is measured in hours. So they come up with an idea and it's already on the market hours later. Otherwise, though, none of their technology is so special. Like, they just have, I guess, kind of 21st century Earth level of technology. Meanwhile, back at the Greenstar, Josie meets with the president in her office. In a few exchanges, she finds out that their civilization invented brain implants and opened them up so everyone is telepathic. Oh yeah, this is something new, actually. Of course, no politician stands up to scrutiny for long, so they have to be replaced. They institute a new policy where politicians are replaced before the scandal even hits the papers, or whatever, the news. Josie asks Elijah to look at the technology and find out if it could be useful. Meanwhile, Paul has disappeared, of course. Josie talks more to the president and says the new policy is a bad idea. The president admits that it might be, and then she's replaced. So, you know.
Yeah.
So the technology changed from our plan to this outline, and it changed in the way that now they're given the telepathic technology in vitro. Because I had to come up with a reason why they wouldn't just take it out. If they can just unplug it or whatever, then they do that if they're the president and not get caught in all this scandal stuff all the time. So they're given the brain implants in vitro. So that both means that they can't take it out, but it also means that the Greenstar crew can't just get the technology and then read each other's minds or whatever. And the advantage of the technology is that they can control machines with their mind instead of having to use interfaces otherwise. So they can, you know, drive at the speed of thought and stuff like that. Back at the special, Vesta's in the conference room with her bridge officers. She's considering nuking the planet from orbit as it's useless. That's not right. It's not Jerry Ann. It's Jenny Ann. I think. Hang on. Better check now.
Yeah.
Jenny Ann Butler. Oh yeah, I came up with a picture for her. There you go. I looked up female engineer America or something like that, and that was a picture. So let's see, Jenny Ann. So Jenny Ann, the engineering officer, has a suggestion, but she's afraid to spit it out. Vesta gets impatient. Jenny Ann says that her own manufacturing isn't a patch on the Nepeta Seeds. Vesta says, so what? Jenny Ann says that if they gave the Nepeta Seeds spaceflight and recruit them into the Burger Supreme, they could help defend human space. Vesta orders her taken to the brig as a traitor because of Vesta's backstory that she helped aliens in a way, and then that nearly got her thrown out of Burger Supreme. Vesta goes down to the communication suite with Julian and talks to Central Command. So she's now talked to Julian in episode 6, and he's on board with her, going behind Burger Supreme's back. They show her 3 systems being destroyed by the energy thieves. The Burger Supreme fleet is down to 2 ships, including hers. So I'm thinking that the Burger Supreme, when they know that the aliens are coming to human worlds, that they throw all their ships against one of these energy thieves, because they know where it's going. They can kind of plot with the stars that are disappearing. So they send the Burger Supreme fleet against the energy thieves, the ships that they had, and they're all wiped out except for one other, for maybe it was in repairs or wasn't ready out or something. So they ask her what she's up to. Vesta says she's trying to find them a way out. So it's pretty clear now, I think, for everyone that their weapons aren't going to work. But Central Command tell her that she'll still be branded a traitor and will be imprisoned for life if there's anywhere left to imprison her, because all the worlds might be destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Julian asks Central Command if they've been willing to consider alien help to save humanity. Central Command says, of course, because why not? If aliens help now and save humanity, then the humanity can go back and kill them later anyway. Vesta's furious with Julian. She tells him she might send him to the brig. Julian asks her if she's realized she's now the whole of the fleet. It's not about regaining position. I mean, there's only 2 ships left. So it's not about being the best ship in the fleet anymore, because there is no fleet. She is the fleet, essentially. So it kind of lost her motivation, so I was trying to get it back a bit. It's not about regaining position, it's about saving their friends and family. Vesta says they'll be crucified for releasing more aliens, no matter what Central Command says. Central Command will cover their asses later. Julian asks if she wants to be the Admiral of the Rubble. Vesta stalks off. So it's kind of, yeah, anyway, it's a bit difficult, that, because there's no fleet to join. She can be kind of a hero if she saves humanity, but she's not going to get a different ship or anything. There is no other ships. So back in the Greenstar, Josie's meeting with Elijah. Elijah says the brain implants are injected in vitro and can't be removed. They mean that the Weaned-Ons can control machines with their minds, but can also hear one another. Josie asks if there's any way to use the technology. Elijah says there isn't, because it's in vitro, so Greenstar can't have it. Humans can't have it. Josie asks if there's a way to help the Weaned-Ons. Elijah says that once they're within a few meters of one another, they can read each other's minds. So I wasn't sure how far we wanted to make it. Like, I was thinking in the same room, basically. They can hear each
A
other's
couple of
minds.
meters works. If it's too far, then it just gets crazy.
Yeah, because then you just hear everyone in the city. It'd just be a mess. So, like, if it's kind of confined to one room, then that explains why there's scandals all the time, because someone is in the room that hears something they're not meant to, and explains why they're not going completely mad. So Josie says they need Gina because she's better at interpersonal stuff as the happiness officer, supposedly. Paul, meanwhile, is walking around. He thinks that if everyone can read each other's minds, they won't be ready for him. He steals stuff without people realizing. Why have security if the guilty person can't cover it up? When he's confronted, the Weaned-Ons accept it. After all, who can lie? Paul finds a bar and tells them all he's a hero and asks if they want to see his spaceship. One of the females, maybe, agrees. Paul goes and finds the shuttle, taking the giggling female up to the Greenstar. Paul asks her again if she's female, because he doesn't really know.
Yeah.
He thinks it'll be a long time before they're back in human space, and the female crew members are never drunk enough.
Yes.
Maybe he wants to see the engines. Paul notices that as she walks through the ship, everything mechanical responds to her automatically. So doors open before she even gets near them, and lights changed because they're too bright or temperature or whatever. Topic meanwhile is freaked out with how easily she controls things, because obviously he's not going to like that when he's normally completely in control. So Gina is talking to the president, trying to work out a way that the Weaned On can all forgive one another. The problem is, every time she comes to an agreement, the president is changed out for another. Josie says that it's useless, they need to abandon their efforts and go back to the ship. So, I don't know if you see what the plan is. Now, when I got to this point, I realized what was going to happen, which wasn't planned before this point. So, Vesta has a way of making lots of spaceships.
Yeah.
And Gina has a race that, if they're in close proximity to each other, things don't go well, but they're really good at controlling technology. So, therefore, the two coming together made sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
So Vesta stalks onto the bridge and angrily tells Julian to do it. Julian gives the Nepeta Seed flight. The Nepeta Seed only take hours to make the first spaceship, but they're too slow to control it properly. Vesta feels like blowing up the planet again. Josie is calling. Josie says they haven't had any luck on her planet because they only have brain implants that they can't even use. Vesta says they've done great, as in the special has done great. Josie zips over to see. Vesta's embarrassed. She didn't think Josie could get there so fast, but now they have the green burst gem. They can go wherever they want. The Nepeta Seed start work on another spaceship, and they still have Paul and Maybe on board because they didn't leave yet. Let's see. So Topic tells Josie he needs to get the damn alien out of him. Josie says she hasn't found anywhere to put the Olenough yet. I thought that was a good reminder that she still has the Olenough.
Yeah.
Topic says not the Olenough, but the Weaned On down on the engineering deck. Josie goes down there with Elijah. Paul is trying to sweet talk Maybe, but she's having none of it. She's streamlining the engines to work more efficiently. Elijah says her work is incredible. Josie realizes that maybe the Weaned On, I think.
Yeah.
Themselves are what the Weaned On can offer them. She tells Vesta that. It leaves a bitter taste in Vesta's mouth, but she agrees to transport Weaned On over to the Nepeta Seed homeworld to create spaceships with crew. Meanwhile, Josie is going to the next alien civilization to see what she can find. So I didn't know whether we wanted to do that at the end. So that would mean that Vesta in the next episode isn't going anywhere. So it's a Greenstar only episode for the one where it's the time envelope things.
Yeah.
We actually switched. So the time envelopes were meant to be episode 7 and this was meant to be episode 8. But I thought, because I copy-pasted the wrong one because we had an extra episode. So I thought it actually makes sense. It makes okay sense to have it here anyway, I think.
Yeah, there was nothing about the time envelopes that was particularly time significant. So it makes.
So I don't know whether we want Vesta to go. So Vesta can either be ferrying Weaned On to and from the Nepeta Seed homeworld and overseeing starship production, or she could do one Weaned On ferry thing and then say, okay, you've got one ship now, you can do the ferrying from now on, and then go off to another civilization to get another technology, which I think would probably make more sense, because she hasn't got anything. Her plan was to get extra technologies that Josie doesn't have.
Yeah.
And in the moment she has nothing.
Yeah.
So perhaps she would agree to help the Weaned On and the Nepeta Seed work together, and then vanish to try and find another civilization with a new technology.
Yeah.
That, however, leaves us without a technology because we didn't have a plan for that. in episode 8, so we just have to come up with something eventually before the end of before. Yeah, if I'm going to outline, we should probably come up with it now, actually, so that there's an outline for next week's. So let's see. So it's actually 6 is 8. I think I did a. Yeah, I copied it already.
Yeah.
So, so I got the quantum entanglement for envelopes there.
Yes.
And what was I looking at? Oh yeah. So we had a few ideas from before. I think I went through already, and there wasn't anything good. Another thing, actually, I thought of, which tripped me up a bit in episode 6. So Vesta likes beating things up on the Holotainment Center.
Yeah.
But I think she needs to have some other dimension to her. So in episode 6, Vesta had to wait around a bit. And I just... I'll stop screen sharing for a second. So I just skipped over her bits where she's waiting around. But I thought she can't only just go to the Holotainment Center and beat things up. She must have something else she does. Like, so what kind of thing would she use her time on that isn't beating things up, or like? So she takes her job very seriously. It could be like studying, I don't know, rules and regulations of Burger Supreme Fleet, but that doesn't seem realistic. I don't know, maybe look up, I can look up strange pastimes or something. I think it'd be nice to give Vesta something that makes her more human, because she is a very cold, vicious, violent person at the moment. That she had something that kind of gives the readers an in. So she obviously doesn't like ball games because she said it was a stupid ball game when she was taking over the Holotainment Center. Oh, this isn't what I was looking for. It says it's 28 odd pastimes, and then it's just an Ashton Kutcher video. Conkers? Vesta is obsessed with conkers? That'd be certainly weird. I don't know if Americans would have heard of conkers.
Maybe not. I don't know if they have horse. I don't know what the horse chestnuts are like in the United States. If it's a common tree or not.
I know they have eating chestnuts, but that's not the same thing. Yeah, shove a penny would be another weird one. Oh, poo sticks.
Oh, that would be mildly funny. That would be mildly funny, yeah.
The poo sticks has now grown into an Olympic sport, and Vesta is obsessed with it, and watches all of the broadcasts where different kind of planets compete against each other in poo sticks.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I like that. That's funny. So where were we? Encyclopedia. I don't know if you saw my note, but episode 6 ended up a little short.
Yeah.
So if you put in then Vesta at some stage
playing poo sticks,
watching or playing competitive poo sticks,
yeah,
that would be quite funny. But But anyway, that wasn't really giving us what they're going to do. That was just something else that I thought of. So they've got extra ships and crew. So they've given them weapons, I presume, in episode 7 as well. Otherwise, their ships aren't going to be any use for fighting the energy thieves. I just put a note in to do that. Where are we? So they have ships with weapons, but it's just the same technologies they already have, and they've got shields, obviously. They're going to have the quantum entanglement envelopes. So what would make them think that they would be able to... Oh, so they can't fall into the sun anymore, because they can just go in hyperspace instantly. They don't have to wait. So they won't fall into the sun, and they can use the green burstium to make sure that they're, teleport within range of the energy thieves. But they know that their weapons don't do anything. So in order for them to go into battle against the energy thieves, they would have to get some kind of weapon to use, or something that would make them think that they could win against the energy thieves, that they could somehow stop the energy thieves from attacking. If they had a kind of a space EMP thing, so they have like lasers and bullets and stuff. So if they had a kind of a directional EMP thing that was meant to knock out the energy on the...
Yeah. So they could think that maybe the energy thieves are sucking a certain section of the electromagnetic spectrum, or use something else.
Or could they think that there's a way of... So Oddly has put the trap into the... Oh yeah, that was another thing maybe I didn't mention. So Oddly put a trap into the green burstium engine.
Yeah.
And we were saying there was going to be one obvious bomb and one difficult to find bomb. So I made it that the obvious bomb is like a real bomb with like a remote trigger. And the difficult to find bomb is that the green burstium engine normally will fold hyperspace once, and then you'll go straight through.
Yeah.
And Oddly is such an engineering genius that she's made hyperspace on a trigger fold infinitely. So you'll never be able to get out of hyperspace again because it's infinitely folded in such a way that you're just stuck in hyperspace. So rather than the Greenstar blowing up, the Greenstar can potentially be thrown into hyperspace and never return.
Yeah. That's interesting, yeah.
So what I was thinking then was, if Oddly then thinks, well, the same thing could be a weapon, we could shoot a portal or something around the ship, sending it into hyperspace in a way that it'll never come back.
Yeah.
But that kind of tips their hand then that that's possible, which means that the Greenstar will then go, well, we don't want that happening to us. So maybe we don't want to kind of use that too early either. It might be more useful to have a different... I think an ideal thing would be to have a funny weapon, because we've had a lot of kind of serious stuff in the second season. There's been a lot of jokes too, but...
What about giant glue gun?
Yeah.
That fires giant, sort of like massive amount of restraint foam. So it's not really got any kinetic energy. So you can't go, well, it's the impact that's causing damage. It's the fact it's all goopy. It drifts in a cloud. Even if they do soak up the energy of it, it should glue them up, and then all of their whatever they're using to drain the energy will be all goopy. And then there'll be some reason why it doesn't work as well as expected.
I'm thinking of I had an idea for, not for a Greenstar idea, but an idea in my ideas folder, which is of a kind of magnet that doesn't attract ferrous metals, but attracts something else. So what if they find this goo that doesn't attract metals, it attracts dark matter? So they think that, so dark matter, instead of just popping in and out, when this goo is there, it pops in and then just latches on.
Yeah.
And because there's so much dark matter popping in and out all the time, that it starts building up in such a way that you can actually, you know, there's a big glob of dark matter. And if it builds up enough, maybe it creates a black hole or something, like that the gravity becomes so strong that it makes a black hole, something like that.
Yeah.
Which means that it's going to destroy the system that it's created in, but the system is going to be destroyed anyway from the nova, potentially. I mean, the planets are all going into the sun anyway.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a last resort weapon, because it's going to destroy the whole system, but potentially that. But why would an alien civilization have that, and how would they control? Like, if it was on a planet and they spray some of this goo, then it's going to attract dark matter and create a black hole and destroy the planet.
Yeah. Oh no.
Unless they get, so the Burger Supreme's been going around killing aliens all the time. And if there's if there's two alien civilizations, one of them's been destroyed by the Burger Supreme and they have radio technology, and they transmit a message that says there are these horrible, vicious aliens, and they come down and they kill everyone, you need to save yourselves. So if you took like Earth level, 21st century level technology like we have now, if we heard that there was an alien battle fleet on the way, and we don't have, you know, the Starship Enterprise or anything, we've got no way of fighting something like that. Other than if we came up with a way of attacking them with missiles or something that they potentially wouldn't be able to tackle. So if Vesta turns up at this civilization, and the first thing that happens is they shoot missiles at her with this goo in it, and the goo latches onto her ship and then starts attracting dark matter, she's in a lot of trouble then. But then that's going to destroy their whole system. I mean, that would be kind of a stupid thing to do. Like, I don't think, if we were being attacked by some alien civilization and we destroyed our own system to kill a few ships, that would be stupid.
It'd have to be her. Unless there's some other technology as well, some way of getting out of the way or stopping the build-up.
Well, what if instead the goo doesn't... So, say the goo doesn't attract anything. Forget the magnetism thing. But the goo is completely... it inhibits all waves coming in and out of it. So if you're covered in this goo, you can't sense anything at all. You can't tell what's around you. You can't... Like, everything is blocked from inside and outside.
Yeah.
So you've got no way of getting out of it. And if you jump into hyperspace and out again, you're still covered in goo. So yeah, so essentially the goo is like the riot foam, riot glue kind of stuff, except made for a space technology where you want to block everything from happening. Then if the alien civilization is trying to protect themselves from the Burger Supreme ships, that would make sense because the Burger Supreme ships would attack, get covered in this goo, and then not be able to do anything because
Yeah.
they can't see anything. They can't. So the alien civilization can't attack them, but they can stop them from seeing anything, and then potentially the Burger Supreme ships might fall into the planet's atmosphere or into the sun, or just hover there until they run out of power or
Yeah.
oxygen or whatever. And then they could say, okay, well, our conventional weapons didn't work against the energy thieves, but this goo is really great. So let's use the goo. We can go out of hyperspace right beside them, shoot them with goo, and then disappear again, and we're not in any danger because we have our shields and we have our green burstium, so we can't get caught if they do have weapons. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That makes sense.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah. Okay, that's a good plan for episode 8, I think. I'll work that into an outline. So was there anything then on episode 7 that you felt we should fix or change or anything?
No, the outline looked reasonable. So nothing leaps out as not working. It holds together.
Like, it was a potentially easy one to outline from our initial thing because it's both this and the next episode are relatively straightforward. Like, it's going back to the season 1 kind of thing of they get to a planet, the planet has a problem, they solve the problem, they move on. In this, it's they get to a planet, the planet has a technology, they work out a way of getting the technology, and then they move on. So it's not too complicated to kind of work out. Like the episode 6, I think, was probably the most difficult because of character motivations. Because you have to consider every single person in the equation and what they would do. So it's relatively easy to write something like the ones in season 1 where they get to a planet and they're captured and they have to get out. Well, then their motivations are easy enough because their motivation is to get away. But when we need Vesta and Josie to both stay alive and work together, that made it a bit more complicated.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so if we're happy with the episode, we can stop the hangout there, unless there was anything else.
I don't think so, no. That's all sorted.
Grant, okay, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.